Howdy! Today we're looking at 200 Minutes of VR, a 33-level community project put together by 4chan's Retro Games board, all the way back in 2014. Yeah, they've been at it for a while. The gimmick is that each map was supposed to be completed in under 3 hours and 20 minutes. That's not a whole lot of time. Apparently the whole thing, except for one map, is vanilla compatible, but according to the text file there are some overflow issues here and there. So I'll be using my favorite limit removing port, Crispy Doom, just to avoid any trouble. Let's open up to map 1. Book it. Kinda reminds me of Hangar, where you got a horseshoe surrounding a secret courtyard that lets you tackle the map from 2 directions. It doesn't make much of a difference, but still, the effort is appreciated. The shotgun room is kinda pointless, but it does have the best fight in the map. It also has a neat ceiling. This is one of the better looking maps in the whole set. The library aesthetic, curved walls, brick courtyard. My favorite is the Red Key area, where you're fighting amongst bookshelves in the dark, and then you have to run around on top of them. It's a really solid opener. Next, Map 2, Brownout. No, it's not the stuff I use to clean my tidy whities. It's a stage that, due to a mix-up, was created in only 60 minutes. Even more surprising, it's not that bad. Although I think we have hit the limit on how quickly a level can be put together. Map Dos offers a bit of a challenge. The place is packed with pricks. Make a beeline for the blue key and a shotgun if you don't want to pistol pinkies. There is an optional side area that looks fucking atrocious, but it's got some health. Unfortunately, most of the enemies will just come towards you when you pass the blue door. Could've used more death monsters. Also, the secret green armor comes at the end of the map. Still, considering the time limit, I like it. Shit, takes me an hour just to make a single room. Next, Map 3, Command Center, a bare bones tech base, with a ripped off name. Only 19 enemies, but all you get's 1 stim pack at the very end, so any damage you take is permanent. There's a couple of gotcha moments, and the best fight is around the yellow key. There's a pain elemental dead ahead, but if you try to hug him, his 2 Hell Knight friends will try to hug you. The ammo can get a little tight if you're being careless, but you get a chainsaw, so really not a big deal. Next, Map 4, Computer Array, by Onslaught 6. Another tech base, but there's more going on this time around. Still pretty easy though. You get a plasma rifle and 2 bulk cells, which is more than enough to hose down the only real challenge. A final fight with 4 specters, 2 revenants, and a mancubi. The MIDI is a remix of the intermission track from Doom 1, also used on E2M3, but it's E1M3 that gets a couple of callbacks in the form of a secret near the beginning and the blue key. When you grab it, the lights go out and you're treated to a surprise Baron. It'd be more fun if the door locked you in here for 7 minutes of hell, but alas, you could just run away. Next, Map 5, The Dig, by Brado. Again, easy. You get plenty of ammo and health in this corrupted outpost. There's some fun to be had in the throne room, with 4 Hell Knights that teleport in. But the best part is the actual dig site, with a conveniently placed rocket launcher at the entrance. Run circles and blow them all to hell. For some reason, there's a secret invisibility. Not sure why you'd want that. There's also a secret berserk pack that makes it all a little less boring. Next, Map 6, Unearth. Now we're talking. If you don't know what's coming, it's easy to get bamboozled. First, you go up the elevator to Fleshy Floor 2, where you'll be mobbed by imps and demons. It's dark in here, so don't miss that box of shells. You'll need it for the next room. There's an imp inside whose only purpose is to bait you into making noise, which spawns in even more pinkies. If you get stuck in here with them, they'll turn you into one of the textures. Then you teleport behind a couple of chain gunners that are really hard to see. And finally, a drop into this shit pit full of baddies, including 3 Arachnotrons. Once you know what's coming, it gets a lot easier, but this is where my first death of the run occurred. Can't be too upset though. It uses my favorite texture as the exit switch. Next, Map 7, Opening the Gates of Hell, by Onslaught 6. It's time for your daily dose of Dead Simple. The mancubi are on ledges above you, accessible via teleporters. You get plenty of rockets, and there's a couple of switches up top that lower the pillars with even more goodies on them. Then the walls lower for an Arachnotron ambush, which is even easier than the original. Onslaught makes up for this with the final room, a very cramped encounter with a very tall lad, garnished with chain gunners no less. If you don't save the invuln, there are only 2 options: a claustrophobic clobbering, or an awkward door fight. The teleporters and switches might be a bit confusing, but aside from that, and the Cyber Demon, it's a pretty standard Map 7 clone. Next, Map 8, Power Relay. This one's kinda easy to cheese, but it's more satisfying if you jump into each encounter head first. Don't worry about ammo, you'll get plenty, and you'll also get a berserk pack when this floor gives way to reveal a Revenant's resting place. It's as good a spot as any to practice punching out skeletons. After that, you got this room. Like I said, you can cheese it from the door, but there's no harm in diving in and having some fun. Find the secret rocket launcher to expedite the process. Short and simple. Next, Map 9, Archives. We're back in the library, but this time, the no talking rule has been lifted. It's a bit of a madhouse. Right at the beginning, you got a hefty encounter. Lower the bookshelves to flood the area with a whole lot of nerds, including Hell Knights and Cacos. Head out into the courtyard to trigger a fake wall ambush. That's pretty fun until the chain gunners open up. Then into the next building for an awkward rematch with the Map 7 monsters. I don't really like this area. Too small and too easy for the Mancubi to clip your head with fireballs. But whatever. Finally, a fake exit that drops you into the lair of the Luciferian librarian himself, the Archvile. And 2 Hell Knights trapped behind bars. I guess they got caught moving Bibles to the non-fiction section. It's a definite step up in difficulty and looks great. Kinda reminds me of Map 1. However, the cool part is that you can skip most of the map by finding a secret in the starting area, which puts you right at the fake exit. Or, my preferred method, take the secret, deal with the Archie, then head back and clear the map out in reverse. You'll have better weapons for dealing with some of the nastier ambushes. So if you're having a hard time, this might be the way to go. Pretty neat, and one of the highlights of the whole set. Next, Map 10, Junction. This one's pretty short and easy. The main challenge comes from navigating the map. Make good use of that rad suit. It's the only one you get for the 20% damaging floor. After some basic fights, you make your way around to a switch and platforming, quote-unquote, puzzle. I won't spoil it, but if you've watched some of my Maximum Doom reviews, you can probably work out the solution. Better than nothing, I suppose, although platforming in Doom sucks as a general rule. Get spooked by some cacos, deal with the world's easiest Archvile, and you're done. The midi's a nice change of pace, at least. Although I think this particular swan has eaten too much bread. Next, Map 11, The Overhauls, by Cheese Wheel. This guy contributed 3 maps to the project, and I have to say, they're 3 of the biggest and best on display. This one's got lots of action. In fact, you may want to be a little frugal with your ammo, unless you fancy going 3 knuckles deep inside a Cacodemon. Most of the level is a loop, and at the beginning you can take either direction to reach the yellow key. The longer path's got more supplies, but the shorter path has easier fights. Case in point, the Mancubi Revenant room, which you can cheese from the door, but going the long way round puts you in a more uncomfortable position. Also, these chain gunners that you can just shotgun. But if you come from the other side, they'll tear your shit up. Oh, and this pit that the yellow key descends into? It's not deep enough to stop the heavies from giving you a lead-lined buzz cut, so watch out. Despite the name, whole thing reminds me more of the Gauntlet, with gunners, monster closets, the final room, except this map is better than that one, and in only 200 minutes. Eat your heart out, American McGee. Next, Map 12, The Bridge. This is one of the better looking maps, which ain't really saying much, but the starting room isn't bad, and kinda has a uterus thing going on. There's this 2-room setup with a little window between them. Reminds me of a receptionist office or something. Then you got a dark sewage corridor that leads out to the titular bridge. You'll have to use or shoot a series of buttons to raise the walkway in increments, and you're treated to monster closets as you move forward. This sort of combat defines the latter half of the map. The beginning area, for example, springs a pain elemental and some cacos on you after grabbing the yellow key. Or the yellow key itself, which involves a series of rooms that open up, culminating in you getting your fucking eardrums blown out by all these lowering pillars. For the love of God, merge your sectors. It's a nice fight though. All those enemies are backed by an Archvile, and you should have enough rockets to lay them down if you found the secret. Speaking of which, I like all the hidden goodies, except the last one. Lowering those pillars also lowers a plasma rifle and a soul sphere back in the bridge room. I guess you can run back and nab them in a pinch if the yellow key fight starts to overwhelm you. But really, they're pointless unless you're playing continuously. Other than that, in this goofy lightning bolt thing, it's a pretty good romp. Next, Map 13, Cathedral of Pain by Onslaught 6. Onslaught's idea of non-linearity doesn't land quite as well as Cheese Wheels, but this is still a decent map, especially if you find the secrets. One of those can even be accessed in 2 different ways. So you got 2 paths, each with a different key, and you only need 1 to progress. The problem is that the choice isn't much of a choice. It's the equivalent of spending the night with Megan Fox or Rosie O'Donnell. Yeah, one of them's more fun, looks better, plays better, and the goods are much better. Meanwhile, the other one is basic, blocky, boring, and it ends with you beating the shit out of a fat cunt. Seriously though, no reason not to do them both, or at least dip into the blue key area and grab the super shotty. The ending room falls flat, no challenge to be had really, just avoid the inescapable pit. There's an Archvile at the far side, but he has a hard time actually leaving, so you can pelt him from the entrance, and the other enemies can be tickled 1 or 2 at a time. Next. Map 14, 200 Minutes of Tech by Cheese Wheel. He knocks it out of the park again. We got a sprawling, layered base with plenty of fights, all set to what I think is a Daft Punk MIDI. Certainly sounds familiar. The super shoddy fight near the beginning is the best. Hit the switch to lower it and reveal gunners, demons, hell knights, and 2 mancubi. If it catches you off guard, you might be tempted to head into the next room, which alerts even more mancubi and some other monsters. It's pretty intense compared to what we've seen so far. If, however, you know the layout, you can instead use the lift and gain access to a couple of secrets, including a rocket launcher. There's also another secret that's completely unmarked and only has health bonuses, which is kinda lame but whatever. After this, you lower the pool of water to nab the red key, which takes you to another ambush around the blue key. I really like how you're expected to kinda weave in between and on top of previous areas. Like I said, it's layered. It also looks nice. The texturing is basic, but the architecture is pretty good considering the time limit. Next. Map 15, Valley of Hatred by Onslaught 6. The secrets really make or break this one. Of course, it's map 15, so we got the secret exit, guarded by 2 Arachnotrons and an Archvile that you definitely won't see coming. The Archie and the exit are opened by an earlier secret switch. I thought it could be clever and wait until I cleared the map out before letting the healer walk, but that earlier switch closes off permanently, so you're just gonna have to deal with him. There's another secret that gives you a much-needed Berserk pack. As usual, ammo can get tight, especially near the end, when a cloud of cunts pop up inside the titular valley. Wiping this crack clean does invoke some hatred, so I guess the title is apt. Rest of the map is pretty basic though. Next. Map 31, Bruto, which is apparently German for gross. Get it? This one is a straightforward romp through a Nazi-infested outpost. Really easy, kinda boring. Again, the secret Berserk pack helps with ammo conservation, and it just makes the whole thing more fun, although it's hard to use it against the boys in blue sometimes. Few demons, a pain elemental, and a couple of revenants all amount to a squirt of mustard on an undercooked bratwurst. Next. Map 32, Sneak. This one is supposed to be played in Z-Doom. If you've used Z or GZ Doom, you'll know that there's a retarded little feature where picking up an invisibility actually makes you invisible, as in the monsters don't become alerted unless you make a noise, even if you're right in front of them. Well, here you've got 2 invisibility spheres, and what you can do is piggyback off of them to make a loop, grab the red key, make another loop, and leave, without alerting anyone. This is incredibly fucking boring. Luckily, the map can be completed in Crispy Doom just fine. You do get a plasma rifle before the red key, so grab it, then the key, then hose everything down on your way back to the exit. The problem is twofold. 1, enemies tend to congregate at the entrance to a room, so on the second time through, they can mob you when you're trying to move forward. 2, it's still pretty fucking boring. Next. Map 16, Frequently Given Advice. Now this is a fun fucking map. Bump and MIDI, good action, a step up in difficulty, but it still ain't bad. The author makes the most of some cramped rooms. You'll be going back and forth to get keys and open doors, And there's always a nice little waiting party for you. You also get a rocket launcher right out in the open, but the most dangerous thing around is an archvile guarding the exit. Unfortunately, this means you probably won't get much use out of that secret plasma rifle. Also, 2 secrets are tied to 1 shootable switch. But it's not a switch, it's a fucking wall. Not completely unmarked, but still, a little annoying. Nah, fuck it, who cares? This level kicks ass. Oh, and the frequently given advice? Report and ignore. I was always more of a sage guy myself. Next. Map 17. In Deep. The space here is a lot more open than before, and there are just enough enemies roaming around to make surprise fireballs a constant nuisance. I gotta be honest, I'm not sure how to feel about the map, cause surprise fireballs are the primary challenge here. You're not gonna have a hard time actually avoiding anything except for a handful of gunners. The final fight around the red key can be cheesed so easily that I did it on accident. The giant door shuts behind you if you walk inside, but you can alert everything and bring them all outside. I'd say the best part of it all is the way it looks. And even then, I'm not sure why I like it so much. I just do. The tall structures, use of the tech wall texture, the way the boiling blood has sort of dried into this crusty walkway. It's cool. Gameplay-wise, though, it doesn't actually go in very deep. Next. Map 18, Dead Cargo, by Sergeant Mark. The brutal Brazilian brings us a slightly uneven but pretty fun stage. The good stuff includes a locker room, a revenant that spooked the hell out of me my first time through, and the highway section. Here you can rope some arachnotrons and mancubi into a gang war. Then pick up the red key and alert a cyber demon to help mop up any stragglers. You also get a rocket launcher out here and a plasma rifle. Unfortunately, the weapon placement chaps my ass a bit. At this point, you'll only have to deal with the cyber and the exit room, an annoying little setup with 2 barons in front of an archvile. Definitely take him out first. Nah, I'd rather have at least the rocket launcher for an earlier fight. Pick up the blue key to release a bastion of boners in a tomato tornado. It's not bad. You can run circles around the area or bounce around on top of crates. But there are 2 pain elementals hiding amidst the Kako swarm. They almost always infight, so the area will become clogged with lost souls real quick. And your only plunger is a super shoddy. Oh, and a chain gun, but only if you took a left at the beginning. Also, and I admit this is kind of petty, the area around the steps has a lot of these dried up little bushes, and it's easy to get hung up on them. All that said, I like the map. Hell, I even like the fight, but it can go sideways if you don't ration your ammo properly. Next. Map 19, Duck and Cover. I guess the Russians started dropping spiders instead of nukes, cause you got Tsar Mastermind perched in the middle, with clear line of sight into the starting hallways. From here you drop down and the main hazard becomes a hurt floor, before going back up, tackling an archvile, and crushing the 4-legged fuck if you so desire. This in turn reveals a few flying foes, and it'll repopulate those starting hallways with more bad guys, including another archvile. I'll be honest, it's not my favorite, but the map did grow on me a bit when I learned how to play it. You might be inclined to force infighting at the beginning. Don't bother. Just run past everything, make it to the rocket launcher. This makes the ordeal a lot less tedious, but even then, there's a lot of stuff to dislike. A pain elemental spawns in the middle of this wide open room, for example, or a chain gunner that can't attack. If you press the button, he gets crushed, but it also activates a line of crushers leading to the first archvile, so don't push it until you come back. I'm not sure what the point of that is. Going back up to the start requires you to take a long elevator ride. It's not a shit lift, I mean you can actually control it, but it's still obnoxious. And when you reach the top, you're gonna have a lot of crap to avoid. The map author knew this was a problem, so he put a monster block and line def here to stop the mob from getting right in your face. It's appreciated since your only heavy weapon is a rocket launcher, but it's not a very elegant solution. Other minor niggles. 3 hidden alcoves in the starting area contain items, but they also release revenants, so I tend to leave them closed until after I come back and deal with the archvile. But the map's over by that point. No reason to open them. Or the fact that there are 5 secrets, but 2 of them aren't tagged as a secret. Not sure if that's on purpose, but they're all the same type of open wall grab item setup, so I don't see why there's any distinction between them. The texturing is also pretty damn bland, but I'm getting kinda nitpicky for a speed map, so I'll leave it on a positive note. The shadows are nice, and so are these Danny DeVito-sized forklifts. Next, Map 20, Punch It. The texturing in this one is, again, basic, but I think the lighting and the layout save it. As you can probably surmise, it's a Tyson map, and there are 64 challengers to put your fist into. There are also 7 secrets that'll give you a megasphere, soul sphere, backpack, and every weapon except a chain gun. You can blow right through this if you find the plasma rifle and BFG early on. You can also skip the vast majority of the fucking thing with yet another secret that gives you a blue key and then teleports you directly in front of the blue door and the exit within. Yeah, the author was very generous, and I do like that he gives options to people that aren't down with punching everything. But it's fucking overkill, man. If you play it this way, kinda sucks the fun out of it. I prefer to beat up everything I can, then use the weapons when I inevitably eat shit one too many times. The hardest part is the optional mega armor, guarded by monster closets and 2 revenants at the top of a spiral staircase. Kinda awkward. Rest of it is a fun time. Certainly more enjoyable than the other Tyson map in this WOD. Next. Map 21, Demon HQ. The forces of evil have taken over a skyscraper. Only 3 floors, but by Doom standards, might as well be the Burj Khalifa. 3 main points here. 1, it's easy. 2, the top half is more interesting than the bottom half. 3, there's meat all over this fucking thing. Maybe we should call it the Mia Khalifa. The corruption and the challenge gets worse as you ascend until you finally reach the top, where you'll have to do battle with an Archvile. He's got a bad habit of flinging you over the edge, so be careful. Whole thing is a quick bit of fun with some charm. Best part is all the guts spilling out of the building. Looks neat. Worst part? These stupid lost souls at the apex, skirting the edges and being a nuisance. But that's not enough to topple my enjoyment. Next. Map 22, Blood River. This one is a basic but enjoyable trek down the stream, fighting enemies as you go until you reach a little castle at the end and a very pissed off mastermind. Unfortunately, there's almost no cover. Also, the blood is damaging, and those revenants on the castle turrets are fucking obnoxious. However, if you find the secrets, you'll be flush with rockets and cells, plasma and BFG, more than enough to coat the whole damn area in holy retribution. If you're playing continuously, you can also say goodbye to the next map. Aside from that, there's a couple of fake walls, the super shoddy is trapped, and so is the red key. Well, one of the red keys. Yeah, if you find a secret near the beginning, it'll take you all the way to the end, where you'll grab the big fucking gun. You can then approach that final fight from the other side, though it doesn't make much of a difference. Feels like this is here purely for someone who just wants to bum rush the exit, kinda like maps 9 and 20, which is cool, and I'm all for options, but I gotta ask, who are these people that enjoy skipping all the gameplay? Here's my approach. Take that secret, grab the BFG and Megasphere, then just go back and do the normal progression with considerably more firepower. Whatever floats your boat, just don't fall over the side. That's a pair of red wings you definitely do not want. Next. Map 23, The Dance by Fudge. The monster density has increased, and so has the monster variety. The dance in question will be you waltzing around, getting some infighting going. You get plenty of health, armor, and ammo, so that's not a problem. The beginning is the hardest part. You walk forward to collect a vest, and bring down these columns full of foes. Then, if you're like me, you'll get scared and try to run back, inadvertently passing through a shotgunner gauntlet in the process. It hurts. I really enjoyed the outdoor section. Lots of fun to be had. Only part I'm not fond of is the bizarre fork leading to the red key. Once you grab it, the previous room opens up some more, releasing a horde of monsters, but they can't fit through the bifurcated hallways, so you just stand here and shoot at them. But even that's awkward since auto-aim will cause half your shots to miss. I'm not sure why this is here, but it's a minor misstep in an otherwise cool stage. Next. Map 24. Ye Mighty and Despair by Onslaught 6. Not much to look upon. We got a really basic marble construction. 3 paths, 2 keys, much like the last map, except this isn't nearly as good. The lone challenge is walking into a Revenant sandwich, but finding the only secret with a rocket launcher will help, if you can find it. It's completely unmarked. After that, you grab the red key, but you can't get up to the Baron ledge. Instead, you're supposed to go back and find a wall that's opened, revealing the red door and a teleporter that takes you up to the Barons. That's just fucking pointless. From here, you grab a plasma rifle, get the mastermind to infight with her children, and hose down whatever's left. Very anemic, especially coming off the dance. Why this is in the 24 slot is beyond me. Next. Map 25. Home Sweet Hell. First off, find the secret Berserk pack and use it at least a little bit to conserve ammo. The ending fight is annoying enough. You got a Cyber Demon to contend with and he cannot be ignored. There are also 2 pain elementals trapped up top, but their lost souls are free to clog the arena, so take them out first. I usually wind up having to chain gun the big fella because I run out of shells and rockets, and if you aren't being frugal, you might run out of bullets too, like I did on my first playthrough. Trying to throw hands with this guy is ill-advised. Rest of the map has a few traps, but it's pretty short. Grabbing the red key will set an archvile on your ass, and there's a nasty sandwich beyond the red door. 2 Hell Knights, but one of them teleports behind you. Trust me, you don't want to be the meat between those big old buns. I have to say, the monster choice feels a bit haphazard. The Archie comes in with an entourage of pinkies, but nothing else. There's a group of random zombie men out in the Cyber Demon arena, and the downstairs portion pits you against a couple of mancubi, few lost souls, and a single chain gunner. Oh, and you'll be forced to door fight. Careful, those mancubus fireballs can clip through the wall. Also, the room is completely empty otherwise, not so much as a health bonus. You just grab the key and leave. Could've used a bit more time in the oven. Next, Map 26, 200 Minutes of Hell by Cheese Wheel. The Parmesan Patrician delivers one last bundle of fun. It's amazing how he managed to make so much good quality map in so little time. That being said, I'd rank this just below 200 Minutes of Tech. This one is actually better in certain ways. It's linear but still loops around on itself, and it's pretty big for a speed map. It's also the first one in the WAD to really seem like it takes place in hell, with some cool attention to textures and other details. Unfortunately, all that seems to come at the expense of the combat. It's still good, but there's a distinct lack of big, pulse-pounding fights with a lot of bad guys. Instead, you'll find fodder waiting to be sniped off, in hallways with no more than a few enemies milling around. The latter is best exemplified by the Yellow Key area, which is a little uninspired, but you should explore the place thoroughly. You'll get a super shotty and a rocket launcher for your troubles. These will come in handy, especially against an archvile and a hair-raising revenant trap. The rest of it's a piece of cake though. Next, Map 27, Walls of Jericho. This is a simple arena that expands. The walls come down 3 times to reveal more shit. If you know where the switches are, you can open the whole thing up within several seconds and get a big fat infight going, although you'll undoubtedly be left with hell nobles to mop up by the end. You can also finish the map without firing a single shot. Just run circles until the exit lowers completely. It's basic as hell, but the next few maps aren't, so I won't begrudge it too much. Only other complaint I have is that one of the switches is kinda hard to find. Next, Map 28, 200 Minutes of Going Down by Cactuses. I'm a hack fucking fraud, so I can't be bothered to actually replay Going Down and spot any similarities, but I will say this. It's about as close to a Cheese Wheel map as you're gonna get from someone not named Cheese Wheel. And that's a compliment. Not quite as big, but there are still some good, if slightly RNG-based, fights down in this marble-glazed cauldron. For starters, dropping down into this room is a bit of a shit show with little cover. You're always going to be exposed to something, and the chain gunner placement is annoying. After grabbing the red key, you're equipped with a rocket launcher and pitted against the signature fight. 2 archviles, some revenants, barons, and chain gunners will teleport in to your right, and another archvile and more revenants lower in front of you. It's an interesting setup and quite fun if you can lay the vials down quickly enough. However, it can go sideways, and if it does, you're probably going to run out of ammo. Just like when you first enter the area, cover is hard to come by and usually you got one flank exposed. And once that's taken care of, you head back up into a group of cacos, just waiting to give you a struggle snuggle. You alert these guys near the beginning actually, but you really don't want to expend too many resources at this point, which means leaving them alive, which means you'll have some potential bullshit waiting for you at the top. I would suggest dealing with a few beforehand, just to lighten the load. The last stretch is a pointless room and some monster-laden catacombs underneath. Killing the guys up top alerts everything down below, but if you save them, you'll have to make another trip through the hallways again. Not my favorite choice, but the rest of the stage is good, and considering the crock of shit we got coming up, I'm gonna savor every moment. Next, Map 29, Aggravatingly Cramped by RJY. Well, there's a fitting map name. I feel like a gerbil crawling up Satan's ass. I'll be honest, I got filtered big time. You run forward, grab a berserk pack, and punch out a few revenants. Then punch out 2 Hell Knights. Then punch out a few specters in a 0 brightness alcove, and at least one of them teleports in behind you. Props to Eggplant for showing me this strategy of fighting with the automap on. Then a few more Revenants guard the red key. When you try to use the red door, an Archvile closet opens behind you, and unless you're really fucking fast, he's gonna get out and raise all kinds of hell. Then you hit a switch to actually open the red door, which holds the exit in a pain elemental. Not the worst thing ever, although dying at the end thanks to an errant lost soul is probably the most depressing thing I've experienced in quite some time. However, another Archvile teleports back where you started. Forget the fire, forget the lava, forget the hanging corpses and crucified barons and fleshy wall textures. This little green mishmash of alcoves? This is hell. It's not just about fisting assholes like you're at a BDSM club. It's highly dependent on RNG. You are going to trigger a Revenant's pain state. You are going to eat a fireball. The question is, how often and how bad is it gonna hurt? You only get 2 medikits, and I'm assuming those were put there begrudgingly. On top of all that, everything is the same texture, and the lights keep blinking on and off, so you're trying to dodge around quickly and make very precise movements, only to wind up accidentally darting into a side passage or getting hung up on a corner, or just getting turned around, until an enemy offers you directions. To the fucking morgue. I'm shitter shattered and I don't even care. I refuse to play this crap again anytime soon. Oh, and just out of curiosity, I tried it on Hurt Me Plenty. It's better, so if you want to practice, go for it. But nothing can really prepare you for the UV experience. Next. Map 30. Carousel. What's worse than 1 icon of sin? 4 icons of sin. Jesus Christ, I've only got 2 holes. Take it easy. So this one is annoying, as all icon maps are. But it's also annoying in its own special way. You've got a thin ring that runs around the 4 Baphomet heads. There are also 4 invisible line defs on the ring, and each one opens a wall in front of a specific brain, so that you can shoot it. However, stepping on the platform in front of the brain will close the wall again after a few seconds. The timing is tighter than I am when using a rocket launcher around a pain elemental. The openings are pretty far off, so you need to be precise. I actually had to turn my mouse sensitivity down to beat it the first time. Now, to its credit, there is only 1 actual Romero to kill. Unfortunately, there are still 4 monster spawners, and that thin ring is going to get blown out real fast. On top of that, some of the spawn points are on platforms, situated below each Baphomet. This means that at a certain point, you can't even move to the edge of the ring and fire, because your rockets will auto-aim downwards. Also, fucking cacodemons. They keep floating right in front of the goddamn target. Long story short, if you haven't beat the map after 2 or 3 laps, you're fucking doomed. It's a creative take on a shitty final boss, but it's still a shitty final boss. Next. Map 33. Anachronism. This one requires a limit-removing port. Apparently, the author didn't finish it in less than 200 minutes, so it was included as a bonus map, and he just kept adding on to it. And adding, and adding, and adding. Fucking thing's got over 600 enemies, spread across a few different areas linked by teleporters. You can't always go back either, so you'll want to be a little frugal with your ammo. Whole thing starts simple enough. You got a tech base that's a little on the quiet side. Then you teleport to another almost identical tech base, wormhole style. This one is even quieter, which I like. Really builds tension. When you try to pick up the BFG, you're teleported to another section. And after some back and forth, and a rematch with the Arch Nerd, you finally get to let loose in this large cavern area full of enemies. Like I said, infighting is your friend, and once you find the Berserk pack, make good use of it. The secrets are mediocre for the most part, some of them aren't telegraphed at all, and the most you'll ever get is a few scraps of ammo. But the one in this area is really dumb. It lets you skip to the top of the ravine, but you're also skipping cells and rockets, and only getting 3 stim packs in return. Anyway, you spend several minutes punching pinkies and imps, then it's off to the final 2 fights. Both of them take place in almost identical arenas, and both of them are full-on slaughter. The first has a decent variety of enemies and ammo. It's not bad, but you'll want to keep the BFG on hand in case you wind up in front of some chain gunners. The second is a bit more annoying. Hell Knights and imps. The infighting potential has decreased significantly, And you've got an Archie roaming around with another one perched atop a button. That button releases a very useful Cyber Demon, but walking forward unleashes 2 more Arch Vials. It also reveals an Invuln back at the beginning of the room, something I didn't realize until after I'd already safe-scummed my ass off. Oh well. Once you grab that God Ball, it's basically over. You can opt to ignore it, but once you free those Arch Vials, the room is almost devoid of cover. I want to like this map. It's got some neat ideas and it's a big departure from the rest of the WoD. But, it feels directionless or meandering. Maybe because it contrasts so heavily with everything else. I don't know. That's it for 200 minutes of VR. Favorite map? Well, anything by Cheese Wheel. Overhauls, 200 minutes of tech, and 200 minutes of heck really are the standouts. I also gotta give props to Map 9, Archives, and Map 16, frequently given advice. Least favorite? Well, that's tougher. Most of the early maps don't have a lot going on. The secret levels are also pretty weak. However, I'll take boredom over irritation. Map 30 sucks, but Map 29, aggravatingly cramped, takes the turd crown and wears it proudly. It's an uneven set, to be expected from both a speed mapping and community project, but there are some surprisingly decent levels here, and aside from Map 33, none of them take that long to complete. I recommend it. Just temper your expectations a bit. Till next time.